Welcome to the Food Allergy Awareness Training, which has been developed by Business Lincolnshire and Lincolnshire Trading Standards, using material provided from the Greater Gwent Food Group. A multilingual allergen training resource can be accessed on the Trading Standards website. This training gives you a brief introduction to food allergy issues and makes you aware of the key points. A longer and more in-depth training video is available from the Greater Gwent Food Group. This film, however, is a great starting point to train you and your colleagues in food allergy awareness. Food hypersensitivity. There are several different types of food hypersensitivity. A food allergy is when your immune system, which helps your body fight infections, mistakes the proteins in food as a threat. An allergen is any substance, most often eaten or inhaled, that is recognized as a threat by the immune system and causes an allergic reaction. Often, allergic reactions are mild, but they can be severe and can result in anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is the most severe form of allergic reaction. It is life-threatening and can result in death. Anaphylaxis is a medical emergency and requires immediate treatment. If you think you or someone else is experiencing anaphylaxis, call 999 and ask for an ambulance as soon as possible. Some customers may have a food intolerance, which is not the same as a food allergy. Most do not involve the immune system and are generally not life-threatening. Intolerance is a difficulty digesting certain foods and can occur hours after eating the offending food. Typical symptoms tend to be diarrhea, stomach cramps, skin rashes, or itching, and can make someone feel very ill. Customers with food intolerance should be treated with the same caution as someone with a food allergy. Why is food information so important? Food information is important because all of the young people you see on this slide sadly died as a result of anaphylaxis. 15-year-old Megan Lee ordered a takeaway meal online. Despite including her allergies on an online form, Megan was sent a meal containing peanut protein. Megan suffered an acute asthma attack, precipitated by an allergic reaction to nuts, and she died. 15-year-old Natasha Ednan Laperouse purchased a baguette in an airport shop shortly before boarding a plane. Unbeknownst to Natasha, the bread contained sesame, which she was allergic to, and she died. Following Natasha's death, the government undertook a review of food labelling rules for food classed as pre-packed for direct sale, and new labelling requirements were introduced on the 1st of October 2021. 18-year-old Owen Carey ordered grilled chicken from a burger restaurant. He told a member of staff that he was allergic to dairy and wheat, but they failed to tell him that the chicken he ordered had been marinated in buttermilk. Owen sadly died from a severe food-induced anaphylaxis reaction from the food he had eaten at the restaurant, despite making staff aware of his allergies. It is vital that your business provides accurate food information to customers who have allergies or intolerances to enable them to make safe food choices. The most reliable way of providing allergen information is in writing. Although not a legal requirement for non-prepacked foods, such as in restaurants, listing the allergens on the menu, for example, should be considered best practice. What the law says. Food businesses must ensure that the food they produce or prepare is safe. There are different food allergen information requirements depending on how food is presented to the consumer. Food descriptions must be accurate and not false or misleading. Food may be deemed unsafe if it is provided containing an allergen when the consumer has specifically requested it to be allergen-free. Failure to comply with the above is a serious offence, could result in serious consequences. Don't forget, any customer can be allergic to any food. If you tell someone food is free from their stated allergen, and it is not, you have misdescribed and sold unsafe food. The law requires food business operators to inform consumers if any of the 14 allergens required to be declared by law or products thereof are present in the food or drink they sell. This also applies to additives, processing aids, and any other substances which are present in the final product. The 14 allergens are cereals containing gluten, such as barley and oats, crustaceans, such as prawn, crabs, and lobsters, eggs, celery, milk, fish, tree nuts, such as almonds, hazelnuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts, cashews, pecans, pistachios, and macadamia nuts, sulfur dioxide or sulfites, soya, sesames, such as sesame seeds and sesame oil, peanuts, mustard, lupin, and mollusks, such as mussels and oysters. There are different legal requirements on how to provide allergen information, depending on whether the food is pre-packed, pre-packed for direct sale, or non-pre-packed. Allergen management. A common reason food business operators give for not having allergen controls in place is that they don't have enough time. Allergen management is critical and is everybody's business. If you wish to provide allergen-free food to consumers, allergens must be considered as part of your food safety management system. For those that use Safer Food Better Business, please refer to it, complete and/or review all sections relevant to managing food allergens, the safe method sheets, and staff training. The Safer Food Better Business resource is available to download from the Food Standards Agency website. Working through Safer Food Better Business will help you to identify and assess your allergen risks. By doing so, it may help you comply with the law and make sure the food and drink you supply is safe. When considering business procedures, decide who has overall allergen management responsibility. For example, this may be the manager or chef. A responsible member of staff should be available on each shift to manage requests from customers with allergies. If a customer tells you they have a food allergy, you may wish to consider letting them speak directly to the responsible person. Staff allergen training is crucial. Make sure your staff are provided with suitable information, instruction, and are properly supervised. Staff training needs will be unique to your business, and any training needs should be determined having regard to the food safety management system. Decide how your business will comply with the food labelling and food information legal requirements to provide consumers with clear, accurate information about the allergens that may be in your food, so that they can make an informed decision. Put in place an emergency action plan and make sure staff know what to do in the unfortunate event that a customer suffers an allergic reaction. Determine the allergens present in all food dishes and drinks. You can do this by checking ingredient labelling information. On pre-packed food labels, you will find allergens emphasised every time they appear on the ingredients list. For non-pre-packed food, for example unpacked bread, cakes, pies, etc., obtain written allergen information from your suppliers. If a supplier contract is in place, include a clause requiring notification of any ingredient changes or supplier product substitutes. Keep a record of any supplier contact. It is also important to consider any allergen advisory warnings on your ingredient labelling. For example, may contain certain food allergens or are not suitable for people with food allergies. If so, a customer will need to know this information to decide if the food is safe for them to eat. Don't forget, consider ingredients inside dishes, accompaniments, any daily or weekly specials, as well as garnishes, glazes, sauces, stocks, condiments, cooking and drizzle oils. Sometimes there will be a problem with a food product that means it should not be sold. It might be withdrawn, meaning taken off the shelves, or recalled, which is when customers are asked to return the product. This can happen if there is a risk to consumers because the allergy information or label is missing or incorrect. When this happens, the Food Standards Agency will issue an allergy alert. You can stay up to date with food and allergy alerts by subscribing free of charge on their website. Keep a written record of the allergenic ingredients in your dishes and drinks. It is advisable to retain original, up-to-date food labels and date them as they are filed. There are some useful tools and templates on the Food Standards Agency website, which may help you record allergenic ingredients in your dishes. A dishes and their allergen content menu chart can be used to record allergens. If you choose to use this method, make sure you accurately transfer all ingredient allergen information to the chart by ticking the box under the relevant allergen heading. Because the smallest trace of an allergen could cause a fatal reaction, it is important to also include may contain allergens. Staff can use this chart to provide the allergen information to consumers. An allergen chef recipe card can be used for one-off dishes, such as specials when ingredients run out, to share information between shifts. If you're comfortable using technology, MenuCal is a free online tool available through the Food Standards Agency Northern Ireland website. It helps businesses to develop menus, keeps recipes online, and flags allergens as well as undertake additional training. Regularly review your allergen records, especially if you have new dishes, new ingredients, new suppliers, product substitutes, a menu change, new equipment, move to new facilities, or have staff changes. Revise and update them as necessary. Cross-contamination risk assessment. Depending on the sensitivity of the person consuming the food, it can take only a trace of an allergen to cause a fatal allergic reaction. These cases are rare, but they do happen. The culprit can be poor allergen management procedures and/or lack of cross-contamination control in the kitchen, which results in an allergen being accidentally introduced into a dish. Cross-contamination incidents can be managed by implementing strict policies and procedures and by making sure that everyone is fully aware of them. Allergen cross-contamination can happen as a result of food-to-equipment contact. For example, traces of allergens can remain on dishes, utensils, or work surfaces that are not properly cleaned before preparing food. Food-to-food contact. For example, oil that has been previously used to cook food could transfer allergens to the next batch of food cooked in the oil. Food-to-hand contact. For example, traces of allergens could be transferred from staff during food preparation if hands are not washed effectively. When assessing the risk, you will need to consider the size and layout of your kitchen, food storage, arrangements, food handling, processing, and production. To help consumers make safe and informed choices, food business operators may voluntarily provide information about the unintentional presence of allergens. This can be done by using voluntary labelling, such as may contain or not suitable for, to communicate the risk of the unintentional presence of an allergen. For example, milk, egg, peanuts, or almonds in a food product due to the allergen entering the product through cross-contamination. These statements should only be used after a meaningful risk assessment has been performed and there is considered to be a real risk to the consumer with food allergies and intolerances, and should not be used as a substitute for good hygiene and safety practices. The use of precautionary allergen labelling, when there is not a real risk, could be considered to be misleading food information. If, after carrying out a risk assessment, it is not possible to guarantee that there will be no allergen cross-contamination, you may wish to display a notice, such as, whilst a dish may not contain a specific allergen, due to the wide range of ingredients used in our kitchen, foods may be at risk of cross-contamination by X ingredients. Please ask staff for further information. Such a notice should be displayed at each place the consumer can place their order. You are reminded that this use of a precautionary statement does not replace the duty to inform customers about the presence of the 14 allergens required to be declared by law. Don't cater for a customer with a food allergy or intolerance if you can't do so safely. Kitchen procedures, ingredient storage. Allergens can be easily transferred from one food to another, meaning allergen-free foods can become contaminated and are no longer allergen-free. This poses a risk to a customer with a food allergy being served food and suffering an allergic reaction. It is important to make sure all foods and decanted foods are clearly labelled, listing the ingredients, including the allergens. Keep food fully covered, resealed, or placed into dedicated sealed containers if needed. And any food spillages in storage areas or on equipment are cleaned up immediately. Store allergen-free items separately, and preferably at higher level than those containing an allergic ingredient. Take care when handling airborne allergens. Ensure food of fine or powdered allergens, for example bags of flour containing wheat or gluten, is handled and stored carefully to avoid cross-contamination and transfer of dust from one food to another. To reduce cross-contamination from dust, it is better to place the whole bag into a container rather than pour its contents into a container. Kitchen procedures, food preparation. If you agree to produce a meal for a customer with a food allergy, you have to make sure that the meal is free from the allergenic ingredients and ensure that the food is not contaminated with the allergen in question. If you need to substitute an ingredient for any reason, ensure allergen information is communicated to the consumer. Check to make sure that any ingredients used to prepare a dish do not contain the allergen the customer is allergic to. If the label of any of the ingredients you are using to prepare the dish says that they may contain certain food allergens, let the customer know and ask them if they still wish to order. Where practical, plan ahead and prepare food for customers with a food allergy at the beginning of service or at a separate time after a proper clean down of all cooking equipment, preparation surfaces, and utensils. When you have been asked to prepare a dish that does not contain a certain ingredient, make sure work surfaces and equipment have been thoroughly cleaned first. Be aware, some equipment is inherently difficult to clean properly. For example, woks, griddles, tandoors, microwaves, pizza ovens, vacuum packers, blenders, and mixers. Make sure staff wash their hands thoroughly before preparing the dish. If you make a mistake when preparing a dish for a customer with a food allergy, do not just remove the ingredient containing the allergen from the dish and still serve the food. Start from scratch with fresh ingredients, a clean plate, and clean utensils. Remember, unlike bacteria, allergens are always present in the food and cannot be removed or destroyed by cooking. Front of house procedures. The Tell Us If You Have an Allergen poster that you see on screen was designed by Caerphilly County Borough Council as a communication tool to assist customers to inform a food business about their allergy or intolerance. The posters are multilingual, and they're available in 13 languages: English, Welsh, Bengali, Bulgarian, Cantonese, Hungarian, Kurdish, Mandarin, Polish, Punjabi, Romanian, Turkish, and Urdu. These can be downloaded from the Chartered Institute of Trading Standards website. This is not a legal notice, but we would encourage businesses to consider displaying it prominently front of house where it can easily be seen. Whilst there is a responsibility on the customer to inform you of any food allergy or intolerance, you are encouraged when taking orders over the telephone or when seating guests to ask every customer if they or any of their party who will be eating the food has any allergies or intolerances that you need to be aware of. Be mindful that, for some, this is not an easy thing to discuss in public, particularly in front of peers, and may need sensitive handling. Staff must know where they can access up-to-date allergen information at all times. It would assist if you had a dedicated location where this information is kept. You could use up-to-date ingredient labels, recipes, an allergen chart, etc., as discussed earlier. Or you could consider providing staff with a checklist or guidance that they can refer to whilst taking orders that highlight which dishes contain what types of allergenic ingredients. Some of you will have this information on electronic devices. However you choose to do it, staff must have access to accurate written allergen information and not be required to memorize it. Train staff to always double-check allergen information. Once a customer notifies your business about their food allergy or intolerance, don't leave anything to chance. Show them that you take this matter seriously from the outset. Knowing customers' dietary needs when booking will help you identify dishes in advance that may not be suitable for the customer to eat, as well as help you direct the customer to dishes that are safe for them. It will also assist you with the planning in the kitchen. Customers who have a positive experience are more likely to become loyal to your business. Ensure your staff know how to deal with specific customer needs. For example, staff may need to discuss which allergens the customer needs to avoid and provide information on the unintentional presence of allergens due to cross-contamination or the use of ingredients that carry may contain warnings. It is very important that any customer's allergies or intolerances are accurately recorded when the order is placed, and staff alert the kitchen that the food they're about to prepare is for someone with a food allergy or intolerance. Consider and review how these orders are highlighted. For example, is it in writing on the order? Is it flagged on cash register software? And is the chef told directly? Communication between the front and back of house is key. Staff must know how orders are handled and communicated to staff that select, prepare, and serve the customer's food. This is particularly important where there are any specific allergen requirements. For example, if the customer orders a standard dish without a specific allergenic ingredient. Make sure there is a process in place to ensure the safe preparation of every allergen-free meal and its delivery to the correct customer. Investigate any allergen complaints or incidents as a matter of urgency. Find out what went wrong, assess if there is a continuing risk, and take the appropriate action to address that risk. You may wish to seek advice from environmental health or trading standards departments. Review and update your allergen risk assessment, your policies and procedures. Retrain staff in allergen management as appropriate and record your findings. Train all staff on induction, regardless of whether they have previous training or experience working in the food and drink sector. Focus on your business allergen management procedures. All staff should know what to do when a customer asks about the presence of allergens in your dishes and drinks. They will need to know how to deal with a request or if and when they should involve another member of staff who has been designated responsible to deal with allergens, for example, a manager or the chef. Staff should know what information must legally be provided to a customer who inquires about the 14 allergens required to be declared by law. They should also know what to do if the customer has an allergy or intolerance to an ingredient that is not one of the 14. Staff must know where they can find and access up-to-date allergen information. For example, food labels, recipe sheets, an allergen chart, or allergen information files. If you change your menu, recipes, or use a new supplier, make sure all your allergen ingredient information, including online, is updated, and tell staff about the changes. The same applies if your supplier sends a different product to the one you ordered. Staff must know how food should be handled and prepared to control the intentional and unintentional introduction of allergens. They should also know the importance of personal hygiene and what personal protective clothing they are required to wear. Ensure staff are confident in serving allergen-free meals, and they understand the importance of delivering allergen-free meals to the right customer. Staff must be alerted to the consequences of providing incorrect information and getting it wrong. All staff should be familiar with your emergency procedures, and staff trained in first aid should make a point of learning what to do if somebody suffers from anaphylaxis. Monitor staff. Make sure you are confident that they know and understand your processes and procedures, and make sure they are periodically reviewed. Staff should have regular refresher training. Provide an update or additional refresher training if there is a change in the law or your procedures, you become aware of any complaints, or a near miss occurs. Keep records of your staff training, including any course certificates. Record any updates to staff discussion on allergens or staff training on allergens in your weekly diary. If you use Safer Food Better Business, include this in the Extra Check section. For further information on allergens and procedures for dealing with allergens in your food business, the Food Standards Agency offers free online allergy training and downloadable resources, which you may find useful.